Welcome, welcome. This is the official opening of the Love Journey by yours truly, Jay Abraham, part of another collaboration of Jay Consultant. This is just a journey for us to go through exactly what a love should be, love how should it be transformed, and how should it transition from one location to the other. And the idea of it, the sole idea of this concept, is for us to go from the love that we have now to the love that we desire. Many of us go through this turmoil that we go through the same cycle of horrific relationship, experiences, emotions, feelings, arguments, and the list goes on. But we don't understand where it really manifested from, one, and two, we don't understand where it's going. Because we don't understand where it's going, we're always going to lead back to where it started, which is the same crap that you go through on a daily basis. So the idea of this whole journey that we're going through is really take us from the stages that we are now to the stages that we want to become. And becoming who you really desire is a simple process. It's a simple understanding of I just want to become this person. Fill in the blanks. So we're going to go through a lot of topics, a lot of discussions, live feeds, stories, research, anything else that you really desire. And also we're going to have interviews and live discussions when we start growing bigger and bigger. But for the next, you're going to have me for the next 20 topics, which is 20 weeks. Each topic is going to be produced and covered up every Friday. So every Friday we'll get a new topic, and prior to that topic you're going to receive a notification of what the topic about. If you like to link in and have a conversation, I'll send a link so you can have a discussion. Or if you'd like to have a discussion, just send me a message in either on my Facebook, which is J Consultant, on my page, which is JJ. My Instagram is also at J Consulting, and YouTube as well, the same thing. And yeah, just flick me a message and we can add you in as an interview, add you in as a live discussion, add you in as anything you feel that you'd like to contribute. I don't mind. I love the discussion, live discussion. We just gotta avoid you having heated discussion where it goes nowhere. That's it. I don't care if you swear. If that's who you are. Go ahead, enjoy yourself. I just want you to be open, honest, and be yourself. So, I don't mind it. So, without further ado, let's get it started. I give you a little bit of background about who I am. And so the name is Jay. As I mentioned, I am by trade a psych. I've done this work now for 11 years. Most of my education was in psychology. I did Bachelor of postgrad of mental health, behavioral psychology, and finished off one of my masters in mental health psychology, and I did my rehab counseling, and I'm finishing off the third master in psychotherapy. I should get my doctorate soon, but I don't want to. I don't feel like it. Imagine being called Dr. J. Woohoo! That sounds good. But not yet. So my journey continues. Started from a humble beginning. Say the least, really. Family of 5. We lived in one bedroom house most of our life. Shared a bed between 3 or 4 of us. It wasn't the easiest, but we managed. Was born in Sudan. Grew up in Dubai. Then moved to New Zealand, and then made my final move to Australia. Had struggle releasing my emotions, understanding it from one state to the other, and because of that I kind of fell through into a sea of self-sabotage. I think most of us can relate to that, where you're subconsciously unaware of what you're doing, but you kind of are aware of what you're doing, and because of that we get into this cycle of, okay, I'm doing the right thing, I love this person, yes, this is the person I want to marry, and then as soon as something becomes real, you bolt. And did I bolt? I wasn't the fastest man alive, but when it came to this, sure I was. I was too quick. I was like Batman. You see me one day, and the next day I'm gone. Nobody knew my identity. as I wore a mask of comedy to really hide myself from the real world. And then that comedy mask became my identity. I grew with it, I lived with it, I nourished it. I made it real. Never went back to the original self because never understood who my original self was. Started dating at a really, 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 really late age. And because of that, I didn't understand the concept of communication, arguments. I thought every single argument ever happened in a relationship, it meant that I'm breaking up with this person. And because of that, I had a fear of somebody arguing with me. So I made sure to always be on the defense mode or ready to bolt out the moment something happens or something becomes real. Maybe it was a form of cowardness, a defense mechanism, or to be honest, it was just my only understanding of how to keep myself safe. So I stayed in that survival mode. When you stay in that survival mode, you tend to really have your guards up. Having guards up means having as many walls as possible. And the moment somebody tries to break through and try to get to the real me, I build another wall. But the moment somebody finally did, it made me realize that I was hiding myself from a reality that only scared me in my mind rather than in actuality. The real life sense of it was not scary. Reality itself was not scary, but what I fantasized or what I thought reality in my head is what made the reality seem more intensified than it really was. So I lived in that bubble. The bubble was never popped for so many years. So I learned, and so after I started doing my studies and all that psych, that's when I understood myself better, understood emotion, and then I indulged myself in a lot of books and a lot of social experiments just to understand people and society. People did not like my social experiment, but it really helped me grow myself. But you live and learn, and that's what I learned from it. And and because of that, I started saying, you know what, I want to go through this journey where I take people through the same transformation as I did to grow a healthy, happy relationship. And the most concept that I want to send out to everyone, that this is the concept, hear it out, write it down. I'm not talking about a relationship with your partner, relationship with others. This is mostly a relationship with yourself. Nothing starts, nothing can grow, nothing can ever amend to something great unless your relationship with yourself grows. That relationship with yourself manifests itself into a monumental, majestic tree of enlightenment. That tree of enlightenment makes you grow into your essence of what you should become if you allow yourself to grow. And the seed or the nourishment or the environment that you grow in is really based on how you view yourself, how you view the environment that you're around, the surroundings that you have with yourself. Many people say, it's documented, that you are the product of your surrounding. We understand that. And also, you are the product of your upbringing. We understand that. But it also says that the people that you surround yourself with, you become them regardless. So the energy that they portray, you attract yourself to, because it's the same energy you really portray. So if you stop trusting other people, it's really you don't trust yourself to trust other people. And they say to you that if you 1 out of 5 people become the group that they are. So in other words, that if you hang out with obese people, 57% you're gonna become obese. Just as sad as that. So if you hang out with successful, happy, cheerful, go-lucky people, you're gonna become exactly them. But if you find yourself in a very negative circumstance or negative environment, just know that it could potentially be you. Actually, there's a high chance it is you. You know what? God damn it is you. Change. So we are in the concept of change. We're in a society, in a lifestyle, and in an environment that always asks us to change. Not change for the better necessarily, but to adapt to the circumstances that we have. Many of us set million and trillion goals in our life and tend to forget that we need to reach that goal for only one simple fact, that we think that because an obstacle came in our way, that should tell us to slow down or go around it or whatever. But we forget that we have to adapt and execute a different plan to go through that obstacle. Example, if you have a healthy mind and you want to, let's say, go to the gym all the time or run outside all day, run outside once a day, let's say, but what holding us back, let's say, is the weather. So we say, okay, it's a bad day today, it's raining, I'll come back tomorrow. But we forget to adapt around that and just make a workout that you can do inside, or maybe drive to the gym and just do on one off. Go swimming. You can do run around with your dog, or take a dog for a walk. Get a raincoat and just go out for a run. The excuses that we make ourselves is that we believe that this hindrance came in our life to really stop us from progressing. So you know what? What's the point? And we go through the cycle almost all the time. And this especially happens in our relationship. The moment we see an obstacle coming in, we say, yep, look, she treated me like this, and you should always going to do that. You know what? I'd rather just go. She's always going to become this way. So what's the point of continuing this relationship? And then what do? We up out. We usually just put a pause button, and instead of just really evaluating what had just happened and really addressing it, we tend to say, you know what? It's just easier for me to walk away. Simple. It's easy. It's makes me feel like I'm in control, and it makes me feel happy. So I'd rather just do that. And necessarily, at times, it does make you feel good, because as you leave, you start rationalizing what your decision. You say, oh yeah, I remember when she did this. Yeah, see, that's a good thing that I left. I remember she used to always make me walk every day with the dog. Always makes me want to talk about my feelings. Always makes me want to do things that I was uncomfortable with. Go to concerts and shows that I never liked. Yeah, I think I did the right decision by leaving. We go through the cycle so many times and not understanding that challenges itself, it's a really good thing. You only learn when you challenge yourself. You only learn to become better is when you understand yourself better and better. And you only understand yourself better is when you challenge yourself in circumstances that you never comprehended at first. So you become the new challenges. And I tell you, this is the best thing you can ever do to yourself, is really start challenging yourself. So we're going to go through all that stuff as well and cover most of about ourselves and move forward. So the love journey is really about you. It's not about me anymore. I am a happily married man with a beautiful baby, and I'm just growing my business into something bigger and better. At the moment, we're working on opening respite facilities for disability and for underprivileged kids. We're also doing programs where we can connect mental health professionals with clients better so they can understand one another. We're building different empires and entities just to make sure the world is connected better. And there's a million topics about mental health that we tend to avoid just for the many reasons of, one, we don't understand it, one, we don't want to understand it, and also the fact that it's mental health for them necessarily means that people have aggressive behaviors. People with mental health are dangerous. People with mental health are they're gonna kill people and so on. But mental health really does not dictate somebody's behavior. Personality maybe does, experiences does, your emotions possibly navigates, but it's only from the choices that you make. The hallucinations and the delusion might contribute, but it does not dictate somebody's personality or somebody's trajectory into harming someone or killing someone else. We all have a choice at the end of the day, so do not mistake mental health for people having aggression and aggressive behaviors. So we have to really understand that before we start to comprehend the fact that mental health is bad. It's not. So these are the kind of discussions that we're going to have. We're going to also unravel a little bit about your upbringing. So we're going to understand a little bit of who you are from where you started in order for you to let go of your past so to have a better future. Love cannot grow without the nourishment of the soil. The soil is your upbringing, your past, where you came from. It doesn't necessarily you have to fix it. No, we just have to acknowledge it, accept it in order for us to move on. We tend to always hide behind the mask of everything is fine. No, my bad. Yes. Oh, We tend to do this, and which I really, it does piss me off so much. We tend to victimize ourselves so much, and we say, "Oh no, my childhood was so horrible, I can never grow." "Oh no, you know what? I grow with not a single silver spoon in my kitchen, so why should I try? I know I'm doomed to fail." We victimize ourselves because it's the easiest thing to do. For one simple reason, we get that emotional, lovely hug that we get from society telling us, "Oh, poor you. The life has been so hard for you. How come you adhere to so much turmoil? Look how far you've come." That sympathy is not great. People feel sorry for you. How is that a great nature? How is that even a great perspective to have about yourself? That yes, I'm only great and I'm only happy because somebody feels sorry for me? How is that great? And this is where we no longer become a contender, we just become a survivor. We should survive in this circumstances that we're in, and we just say, "You know what, I'm good like this. I don't want to keep going further, because the moment I go further, what's going to happen? I might fail. And if I fail, that means I'm justifying who I really was, which is a failure, a loser, or a victim. Instead of really trying to really overcome your obstacle and understand where you came from, doesn't dictate where you're supposed to be. And this is where the nourishment in the soil of the tree is going to establish. So by the end of our 20 sessions, and I'm going to just say this again, by the end of our lovely 20 sessions, you're going to grow your own tree of enlightenment. This means that the journey of your succession, the journey of who you are, the journey of what you're going to become starts from the soil. And once you grow to the magnificent, majestic tree with the beautiful tree leaves and have a lot of animals and creatures living off you because of your great nature and great nurture, then you become this. Then your journey of love almost has ended. It's just now you have to make sure you continue making that tree grow. I say almost ended because if love is a journey, it should never have an end line. It should never have a destination. It should never have an end point. A journey should continue growing. Even when you reach a certain goal within your journey, within your love journey, should I say, you should always add more. Nothing kills your progress than procrastination, complacency. Once you become complacent with where you are, comfortable with your position and where you stand, you become your worst enemy. Because you say, "Oh, you know what? I've got here. What else should I do? I no longer need to stop or continue growing." But in reality, here's the fact: the reality itself is that if we don't continue growing and continue achieving a new goals, we're gonna really wither away into nothing. Think of everything around you. Everything is moving. The earth is moving, whether you think it's round or flat. The earth is moving. The sun is moving. The day and night is moving. The days are going. Your thought processes are continue growing. You're a human being, which means you are a being in sense that you're dynamic. You're moving. You're not static. You're not just standing there. You're not a human static. You're a being, so you continue moving. So everything around you moves. And if you wait, it will pass you by. The moment it passes you by and you wake up, eventually you're going to realize people are 2-3 years ahead of you. And for you to start chasing that, you not only get tired easily, but you get tired quickly before you even finish your first year. So why become complacent? That's your worst nightmare. So continue growing. So this is why we're going to call it a journey and continue growing. So that one of the first things we're going to uncover, let's say in the first few weeks, we're going to uncover your sense of purpose. The purpose of who you are, the purpose of who you want to become, the purpose of why do you really want to go there. And how we're going to get there is through this, strategic processes, discussion, life stories, real life stories, not only of myself, of my own journey, but also other people that potentially lived in the same circumstances as you. Once we uncover your why, we're gonna uncover your upbringing. Then we're gonna really establish through your personality, your perception, your neural association with who you are, the law of attraction of the universe and how it connects to our love. And then we're gonna really build an amazing, majestic tree. And after that, guess what? We gotta get into deeper of your coupled relationship. That's when we're gonna start discovering not the individual you anymore, but the couple you, the we, factor within the relationship. How we grow, how we manifest ourselves, how we grow up to our potential, how we dream, how we set goals for ourselves and our kids, how we become a couple that we don't necessarily argue, but we communicate. Communication doesn't necessarily mean that we have to be compatible. Not at all. And compatibility is an ugly factor when it comes to a relationship. You don't want to be compatible with one another. You want to almost be challenging one another in a healthy way, where you understand how to bump heads because you have different ideas, different principles, different values, but you understand how to communicate it in a healthy way, so you can continue challenging one another and understanding and learning from one another, and then you grow to this amazing person or we factor. So we're gonna grow that person and understand the myth about love, the physiology about love, the understanding of what love really means. Why do we go through a heartbreak? Why does it feel like our heart really burns when we go through this heartache? Why do we depend on one another? And why dependency in relationship is actually a great thing, but the dependency in life is not a good thing. How independent beings are really the lonely people at times, and they're not able to understand or acknowledge it. How the myth of love, of finding a soulmate, finding an ideal partner, finding a perfect partner is actually a myth. How Prince Charming never comes. How a king can be a king without a queen. How you don't need to be with someone just to feel complete. How one another should complement one another rather than complete one another. How pain and reflection equals progress. How every single pain that we ever go through, how our failures, how our turmoil, devastation, our experiences are actually a good thing. And also how do we can understand where to look within ourselves to grow with ourselves, which is a great concept. And then of course understanding our own attachment style, our own love stories, our own love body language, our own and how to use all the methods within ourselves to no longer face a problem as a problem, but a chance for us to tackle a demon monster that we can finally overcome. I'll share with you great stories from great leaders, entrepreneurs, health professions, motivational speakers, authors, physicians, physicists, philosophers, spiritualists, and all the great and other psychologists and psychiatrists to really understand the love story, the love journey, love yourself, understanding yourself to become the best partner for anybody that ever comes in your way in the future. And the best thing we discuss is that since like does attract like, if you become an ideal person of who you want to become and have that amazing energy, amazing positivity in life, an amazing understanding of the world, acknowledging it and accepting it for what it is, accepting yourself for who it is. If you have all that manifestation within yourself, what happens when somebody comes your way? You meet somebody exactly similar, has exactly the same mindset as you. And once you do, it's hallelujah. You met your ideal match. That ideal match will become somebody that will continue challenging you. And the end goal doesn't become marriage, becomes everlasting love and happiness. You can't put a price onto that. We're going to discuss the 4 pillars in life that really puts in the foundation of who we are or who we're supposed to become. We usually cover 4 pillars because 4 pillars really are building foundation to any household, any figures or furniture around that's sturdy and tough. We usually have 4 wheels in a car. We usually have 4 legs in a chair, table, 4 walls in the house. All of these is just basically 4 pillars in life that really makes a concrete. Of course, we have motorbikes, that's 2 wheels, but if I push you, my friend, you're falling. So don't lie to me and don't come at me like that. I know where you live. So we gotta understand one another, understanding from where we start. So we're gonna really manifest all that. So without further ado, if you guys are happy for us to start, we can discuss the first topic at hand. So the first topic that we have today are the do's and don'ts, things to do in a relationship, which is great. But before we even get to that stage, we have to get into the purpose of your life, of why you're here. Why have you started this whole journey? Not why you're here in this program, why you're here on earth, but why are you here trying to work on yourself? Why do you understand or think that there is an issue that you need to work on? Why do you believe there's something about you that needs working on? That necessarily means that you do need to work on something, but it'd be a great starting point for you to acknowledge that there's something for you to grow into. And becoming statistic, as we said, and becoming stuck on your own journey really stops yourself from finding out who you really are. And so we're going to discuss the relationship that you have with yourself, finding your purpose in life, and then of course the do's and don'ts in a relationship. So without further ado, no clapping, no loving, no holding back. Woo! Give it up for J. Abraham. Ooh! Here we are. So let's start. So if you want to take a break and put a stop and maybe have a coffee before we continue, we can do that. How about we start now? How about we just pause it for a little bit? Psych! We're starting now. Not waiting for anybody at the moment. Okay. So relationship in itself. Relationship is, of course, the relation between one person to the other. Or relationship is just basically a relation between some two party figures, and doesn't necessarily have to be with somebody else. It could be a relationship that you have with yourself. The reason why we discuss the relationship with yourself is many people have used this example. I'm going to use it again because it's a lovely cliche. The concept of how if in the plane, the plane is falling, to tell you always put the oxygen for yourself before your loved ones or even the children and little ones. It's just that you have to understand that in order for you to heal or be a great partner for somebody else, you have to be an amazing partner for yourself. You have to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and understand, yes, this is who I am, this is who I becoming, and this is who I want to be. And understanding that no matter what happens, there's always a room to grow. Not to say that you have to be perfect or extraordinary just to be ordinary. Not necessarily. I would like for you to be ordinary so you can grow to be extraordinary. That's not your destination, but that's what you should fight to get to. There's nothing wrong about you being who you are and who you want to become. There's nothing great. There's nothing bad with that. But you have to understand that in order for us to continue growing in this life cycle that manifests itself on surviving and adaptation and assimilation of growing, we have to continue fighting on this idea that we can become better. So what's wrong with that? What's wrong with becoming better than what you were yesterday? What's wrong with becoming better than who you are today? Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with you at the moment. But there's ever a chance for you to grow and understand you can be better. Why not? Not understanding it from a materialistic point of view that you should get more millions or more money in your pocket. But what does money really emulate for you? Emulates for you success, happiness. So your real entitlement, your real pleasure in this world is happiness and success. Money is a bonus, or should I say is a reward for your pleasure, for your happiness and success, rather than the ideal goal that you should be aiming for. And nothing wrong with that, of course, but just in general. So the 4 pillars that we have in life are your health, wealth, relationship, and spirituality. Spirituality could easily be modified into religion or happiness in general. And the reason why we cover all these 4 pillars, these are the 4 pillars that really cause the foundation of who you are, the foundation of what you should become. And you have to build your house or a building or anything that you have in your life on a strong foundation. This is basically the soil of the tree of life that we discussed, the tree of enlightenment. You have to grow this amazing soil where you grow yourself from the ground up. So what does your soil entail? It has to have 4 of these pillars. If you have, for example, your health, if you put a meter onto your health from 1 to 10, and you think your health status is anywhere between, let's say, 3 and 4, but your relationship is 8, and spirituality is, let's say, 6. If you're having this regularity within all 4 pillars, then I'm sorry, my friend, you are holding one pillar of your life is holding more weight than the other, which means what? Eventually will collapse. And when it collapses, you wonder where it all started. It all started from not taking care of the pillar that needs your help, that needs your saving, that needs your attention, so to speak. So ideally, we want to have all pillars having the same level, the same weight. So your health, wealth, relationship, and spirituality should all be in the 8 to 10 mark, no matter what happens. Of course, having a 10 out of 10 relationship would be great and ideal, but we understand ourselves. A lot of people are skeptic about having a perfect relationship. But there's nothing wrong with having an imperfection, perfection in your imperfection. Let me say that again. There's nothing wrong with having an imperfection. There's nothing wrong with having perfection in your imperfection. So even John Legend said it in All of Me, love your imperfections. So love, if you can be happy and content with the imperfection of somebody that you love, then that's a perfect relationship, so to speak. We're going to eliminate the idea of perfection because it doesn't exist. But for just this concept at the moment, just for us to get understanding of what we're talking about, perfection in itself starts with understanding that the imperfection in people's lives makes them who they are, and that makes them more perfect for you, or matching, should I say, than anything else in the world. So we'll discuss that later on. But yeah, so there's nothing wrong with that. So in a relationship, in order for you to have all these 4 pillars in your life status, you have to identify what each one of them needs. So in order for you to do that, you have to figure out what you need in your life from your health point of view for you to become the ideal 8 out of 10. So if it's 6 and you need, in order for you to get 2 more values into your health, let's say you need to lose X amount of weight by a certain time, then that's fine. Figure out what the status is and write up a schedule, write up write up a timeline, schedule, and progresses how to achieve that goal. Once you really get to that goal, that's the only way you're going to become great on who you are. So in the sense of health, if you want to become healthy in any situation, understand what you need to do and figure out how to get there. And most of us, I do mean most of us, get stuck in reaching that goal because we become challenged even harder and harder as we get through. So this is where you need to do one of those great tools where you shock the system. You shock everything by doing one thing different that you've never done before. The concept here is that you want to do the one thing you never done before to get the result you never had. So if you always try the same weight diet, or the same progress, the same regime programs, and it never worked, then try one thing that's different that you never done before. Figure out what that is. And sometimes you need to just do a simple acknowledgement. And a lot of people tend to look at themselves in the mirror and say, oh, I wish I could be better. But just acknowledge that the fact that you look great now. There's a story about this lady that she saw herself in a mirror and didn't like the way she was. So she took a picture of her old self and put it on her wall and said, I want to become that person. And then she tried and tried for months and months. And not only did she not lose weight, she gained weight. Because she fought with the system. She fought with a demon that never existed. So she fought with a demon saying, you know what, I'm not good or who the way I am now. I need to become better. That idea of becoming better, or that demon that you're not as good as you should be because you're not skinny enough for that concept I want to eliminate. Healthy does not mean necessarily physical appearance. It's how you feel about yourself that makes that appearance even wanted. So what she did that was opposite is that she wore the clothes that she wanted to wear in order to feel good about herself. So what she did is this, which is great. So she looked at the picture that she had, and she thought about that timeline, that time that she had with that picture. So she looked at herself, let's say 5 years ago, and she said that 5 years ago I was going through a heavy divorce. I was skinny because I was not eating properly. I was sick all the time from all the stress that I was going through, and I was going through so much anger. And that's why I was skinny, not because she was healthy skinny. So she acknowledged the fact that that past was not really her ideal weight, because it reminded her of an associated it with a part of her life that was not healthy. So she acknowledged the fact that this was a hindrance rather than a positive outlook on who she should be become. So she acknowledged it, she accepted it, and she started wearing the dresses that complements her body rather than wear buy a dress that made her look skinny in any sort. And then when she really felt comfortable with who she was and the dresses that she started wearing to work and to social outing, only then she began to lose weight. So it's just all we can discuss it again later on in the law of attraction, how what you perceive about what you believe and perceive about yourself is what you're gonna become. So she saw herself an amazing, beautiful young woman with an amazing dress, no matter what, and only that she became moving towards that goal that she always wanted, which is just to lose a little weight. She got to her ideal weight and she became healthy. Same thing with men. Men, we tend to think that, I just want my biceps to be a little bit bigger. Maybe I lose a little bit of body fat here and there, or become a little bit stronger, fast, and so on. When in acknowledging that, it's just that you have to acknowledge the fact that how is that relevant to anything that you're going through in your life? Understanding to be stronger and faster, and for what reason? If you're doing it for sports and athletics, and it's understandable, but for what reason do you want to become that within yourself? Is that really your goal? Then you understand that every time you get stronger, you're gonna wish that you were more stronger. So you're gonna continue going through a cycle and it never ends, just like the hamster in the wheel. It will never end. But becoming, understanding that why do you want to become this person, and acknowledging it within yourself and accepting it, only then you're going to say, okay, I want to become stronger just so I can feel good about myself. So the idea here is not to be stronger, it's just to feel good about yourself. So why not start doing that instead of trying to get stronger? You got to acknowledge how we switch the whole thing up and understand it in a different value. So that's health. Same thing with relationship with yourself. How do you become that great mountain, which I'll get into it soon. So let's just skip relationship for now and get into wealth. Wealth doesn't have to be money. Wealth could be anything that you want to get a mouthful supply of, something you desire. So what do you desire most in life? For me, I desire growth within myself to understand who I am. So I grew my wealth on books, on understanding how much I could read daily, monthly or yearly, so I can grow understanding who I am. So I became getting a lot of these amazing self-help books. So my goal in wealth was to read 50 to 60 books a year. So when I broke it down, I just needed to read, I think, roughly 4 to 5 books a month, which is 2 books a week, fortnight. That's not that bad. So if I dedicate just myself 25 minutes a day, I should cover it. As long as it's 25 minutes of uninterrupted. So wealth for me was that. And of course, wealth also for me was to get 3 properties by a certain amount of date. And these properties have to make sure they give me this. But I didn't just write it that way. I wrote it in the sense that I want 3 properties, one in this location and have this many rooms, one in this location, have this many rooms. And I put that in my vision board to understand what I want to become. So I knew that my wealth game was at a level 4. And in order for me to get 8, I need to get those wealth within myself, wealth within my finance and investments. Sure enough, I'm already in stages for getting the second investment, starting there, and then we grow from there. Same thing happens with health, wealth, spirituality. Spirituality for me is about meditation. Everything about meditation was great, and I understood that I never learned how to grow within myself unless I knew that I needed to first be serene with myself. How I understand that my sanity really needed me to take a pause with myself. And a lot of us get challenges and get obstacles in ourselves, and we tend to quit. We don't understand that we can just do one thing, which is pause. Pause for a little while, maybe take a break, maybe come back to it, and we'll I'll discuss it in deep details in the next sessions. But pause is an acronym that I understood, and pause meant really to understand ourselves better. So pause came from the acronym STOP. So whenever you come with an obstacle, a heavy wall, or something that you want to evaluate and really understand, instead of us quitting or running away or avoiding it, just learn how to stop. Stop stands for self-reflect. So stand there and reflect on what exactly you're doing daily that you keep meeting this wall no matter where you go. Especially when your relationship, when you keep arguing all the time over the same crap. Have you ever took a step back and understood why we're arguing? Why do you argue in that mannerism? Why do you talk in that way? Why do you always an argument lead to a certain endpoint, which is you guys arguing or sleeping in the couch, not talking to each other for a few days, whatever the circumstance is? Why? So you got to self-reflect, understand yourself a little bit. T, which is take the time to really understand what just happened. Take the time, so just to say, okay, there's an obstacle happening, especially look at it from whatever work that you do. Every time you come with an obstacle at your work, you don't go at it, and if you do go at it and you get a writer's block or any blockage that you get in your life, you don't keep at it, drilling it until you find a solution. No, you take the time. You take a step back, you stand back, and and you look it over again, and you take the time to understand what the hell just happened. So do the same thing with your relationship. It's just simple as that. And the best thing about it, you can even negotiate with your partner, saying, okay, why do we always end up here? Let's take the time to really evaluate all this stuff. O stands for observe. Observe what the hell just happened. And a lot of stuff just happens because we don't see it from a different perspective, a different point of view. Maybe even ask somebody else that can just evaluate the situation from their perspective. Sometimes you get in that commotion that you think this is the ideal solution and this is what I should be doing things. When in reality, if I just took a time and I'm just observed from a different point of view, maybe the outcome could be done differently. That's observe, but of course observe in the future. We're going to discuss it. It also means one thing, but we're going to discuss that later on. One thing just means doing one thing differently. So, and then the P, which is pause. Just pause. Pause your relationship, pause your fighting, pause your argument, and just learn to love one another. Pause in the sense, just hug your partner in the middle of the argument and just say, you know what, let's just take a break. Not a break from each other, a break from the fight. And you're not putting the fight away or hiding it under the cover or hiding it under the blanket. It's in the contrary. It's just pausing to know that the fight does not dictate the person. You're not really fighting the person you like. You're fighting the circumstances of the situation. So the person is not the issue. Even if the issue is, let's say, within a relationship, let's say it's money. So you're not really fighting your partner by her spending money or him spending too much money. It's fighting the fact that you don't have enough money within yourselves. You don't have enough. You don't have a right schedule. You don't have a right budget. You don't have a right finances. So the issue is these. It's not your partner's spending habits, because spending habits was never an issue until it became an issue. So understand that. So take a pause. Love your partner. Hug them. Love them. And tell them, you know what? We're gonna get through this. How? By understanding that this is an issue that we need to go through, and just pause. Pause for a little while. Pause for maybe an hour or two, even a day if you need to. But just pause. Don't do anything else. Pause. So that's your acronym. STOP. We're going to go through it details when we start talking about the couples. But yeah, so that's your spirituality. Spirituality doesn't go anywhere unless you learn to stop. Not a single vehicle that we ever use in our life that can go without refueling. Take our cars, our planes, take even the TV, the gas that we use in our homes. Everything that we use in exhaustion in its full capacity will end up blowing it back in our face. So we need to learn to just stop and just relax for a while and just refuel ourselves. And this is where meditation really kicks in for me. Meditation every day in the morning, and I try to do it as well some at night, but I usually do it in the morning and then when I take a shower at night as well. I just tend to have my meditation. Meditation doesn't necessarily have to be where you close yourself in a room with a candle and just breathe. No, meditation is anything that you shut your mind from everything that's surrounding you and learn to just think about nothing and reset your brain, where you do deep breathing, deep understanding of your body, understanding the physiology of your body and what your body is going through. So really see the position where your body is taking you. And just really understand the energy within yourself and take a deep breath. Not a single thing in the world should stop you from meditating. Take your time to understand meditation is a great tool to have within yourself. Meditation allows you to tackle any obstacles that you're ever going to have in the future ever again by seeing it from a different perspective. That's why meditation is great. And the same thing happens with religion. Why do you think a lot of religious people tend to prosper? Because they understand that they need to take the time and pray. When they pray, they really put a pause and put all the obstacles into a higher being. That higher being controls your life or controls the narration of what your life is supposed to go or supposed to have. So that is a good thing. Same thing with spirituality. You're supposed to believe in a higher being or just believe that there's a stronger law of attraction or energy around the world that will take you into the right path that you're supposed to go. Spirituality is great. Religion is great. Take it. Make it grow. And last, of course, relationship. Relationship, as I said, is just that having that strong mountain within yourself. So I always share this story with everyone that ever comes into my program. I never discuss my program. I'll discuss it at the end. So, what was I talking about? Yeah. So when you're talking about relationship, it's just this is the story that I always tell people. So imagine a huge, beautiful, strong mountain, and this mountain has an amazing kind of figure where it's just strong, big, and understanding that it's it's by itself, it's feeding off its own energy, it grows on its own, and even though it has a lot of animals and plants that grows on it and take on its and live off it, that mountain, it continues to be strong and sturdy on its own. So eventually, what happens when you meet another mountain? When another mountain comes your way and comes your path, many of us say that we clash. But in reality is that when you get to meet that mountain eventually, is that you create a magnificent, beautiful stream. That stream creates life, a new beginning, new opportunities, new lifestyle for other people. It's where you start complementing one another on understanding how one another operates. Not to complete one another, but complementing of who you are by adding more value into your life, and you add value back to mine. Understanding that I need to challenge you in order for you to grow, as I need you to challenge me. I support you and you support me, and we continue understanding this dance of romance that we have with one another. Understanding that no matter what happens, we're going to continue growing, continue prospering because of the wealth of love that we have for one another, growing out of this great new stream that we created. And that's the idea of being your own mountain. So be your own mountain in whatever way you can see, shape, and possible. And you can get there. It's just a simple fact of understanding that how can I become a self-reliant mountain? How can I become this ginormous mountain, understanding who I am? How? Finding your purpose. So you wake up every day with a set of purpose. And how do you do that? Is by understanding your 4 pillars in your life, by tackling each pillar separately in order for it to grow together. And addressing each 4 of your pillars, finding out what levels of each pillar do you have, which one is strongest, which one is the weakest, which one needs more attention, which one is growing, and continue being consistent with it throughout. Whatever level it is, we should all be on level 8 and above for each of our 4 pillars or 4 domains in our life. And only then can we understand that we're not only growing as an individual, but we're growing as a community. Because what happens when you a like-minded person, like a mountain, what happens when you meet other mountains in your life? You create a country. And that's why I love this idea. You create a country of like-minded beings. Everybody around you, all your friends and your family, and all this great energy that you have, you create a mountain. When you create a country, you create an empire where people are going to lavish of your lifestyle. People understand how much you've grown and understand how you continue to grow. People will come attracted to you and understand how you grew. And not only will people tend to grow within grow just as you're growing, but they also empower the others and the next and the fight and the next. And then that empire grows to something bigger, better, and stronger. So be the mountain. Be the change that you want to see in people. And that change can only manifest itself once you realize who you are. Realize who you are, who you're becoming, and then only then can you grow that mountain into what it's supposed to be, which is an ultimate you. That's your love journey. I'm telling you, man, this is growth. This is growth from day one, and growth starts from you. And this is so great because we're understanding it now. The fact that we're understanding it, the fact we're talking about it, will really allow us to make it grow into what it's supposed to be, not what it is now. So let's just continue growing, and this is just about ideas. So our do's and don'ts basically just derives from that principle. The principle. So the principles are our own principle. So the do's and don'ts is just to understand that the do's within our relationship itself is what we're supposed to be doing and we're not supposed to be doing. As we discussed the ideas of how to face your problems, how to learn to stop, how to learn to evaluate, how to learn to evaluate yourself, looking things from different perspective, going in different directions to get the same result or even a better result. This is how you really do. This is the core principle of our do's and don'ts, and this is how we understand ourselves in a relationship and the principle of love itself. So it all derives from your 4 pillars. Grow yourself from finding your purpose in order to understand who you are, so you can understand who you're becoming. That's that's beautiful. So the name is Jay. Thank you for tuning in for the first session. So going quickly, just discuss the program that I'm writing. It's a 6-week program. I don't like calling it a program. I like calling it a transition or a journey. It's called metanoia. Metanoia means it's a journey of oneself, mind, life, and heart or soul, where it transitions from the way you are now to the one you want to desire. And it's basically based on our love journey, a love transformation, going from the love that we have now to the love we desire. And we're going through it in a segments where in the first 2 weeks we uncover the self to grow the self. The next following 2 weeks is to understand the couple you, understand how you are in a relationship, and even if you don't have a partner, how to understand how to become the ideal partner in the future. And the last 2 weeks is that we work one-on-one in order for us to develop the ideal self by taking everything that you've learned and using it in a real life situation. So you no longer need a counselor, a therapist, a medication from a doctor, any more therapy in your life ever again, because not only will you grow healthy with your partner, but you understand how to complement one another to be the ultimate you. That's the metanoia, baby. That's how you grow. That's how you understand one another. And this is how you can become and continue to become the ideal you. Simple as that. So if you ever want to join the metanoia program, it's beautiful. It doesn't cost a lot. It doesn't cost anything that much, actually, in comparison to all the hate and the toxicity that you have within the relationship, because you can understand one another. So how much would that cost to have freedom back again? How much would it cost to really have nourishment and love back again in your relationship? And that cost, you put that price in, and I'm happy to match that. Let's get on to it. Message me at anytime if you want to have a live discussion about what we spoke about today, and feedback. Also have if you want to discuss about what we just had a discussion about the metanoia program, by all means just send me a message. I'm happy to communicate about this. We can schedule a time and just for us to have a free consultation, free chat for as long as you want it, and just get an understanding of who we are. And only once we figure out our compatibility, then we can move forward. If we're not compatible, then don't worry about it. There's no point of us moving forward. Why waste your time and why waste mine? It's just a basic concept. So let's grow together. Let's understand this journey is made for us to grow. Our life starts within us and it ends with us, no matter what. So let's make the right choices to make the decision to finally change the love journey that we have to the way we desire. It only takes about 4 to 6 weeks to really grow it. And how to can make it a lifestyle? You need 90 days. So you are 90 days away from changing your lifestyle to the better. Okay, much love, peace, and stay true.